So let's dive into one of the greatest stories in all of sports. It's about how a little boy from a small Brazilian village, whose first football was literally a sock stuffed with rags, became this massive global icon, a true national treasure. This, right here, is the story of Pelé.
But this story doesn't start with a victory. It starts with a promise. A 9-year-old boy who everyone just called Dico back then sees his father completely heartbroken and makes him this incredible vow. And that one single promise, it would go on to change everything for Brazil. All right, so to really understand the legend, we've got to go back, way back. We need to feel the pain of this national tragedy that really sets the whole incredible story in motion, the 1950 World Cup. I mean, just picture this. An entire country is holding its breath. It's 1950, Brazil is hosting the World Cup, and football, well, it isn't just a game, it's everything. Millions are huddled around their radios, and instead of cheers, there's just silence. Brazil loses to Uruguay in the final, on their own turf. A wave of grief just washes over the entire nation. And in one little house, a boy named Dico watches his dad, a former player himself, just completely shatter. So you have this huge national tragedy, but it also creates this really personal conflict right in Dico's own home. His mom saw football as a curse, not a dream. Why? Because she'd already watched her husband's own promising career get destroyed by an injury, leaving him to work as a cleaner. She was terrified her son would end up the same way, so she forbade him from playing. No football. Period. So while Dico is trying to navigate his mom's rules and his own incredible passion, he's also dealing with another battle, a fight over his own name. The name the entire world would one day cheer wasn't a badge of honor at first. Nope. It was a childhood insult he hated. And the way he got this name, man, it's rooted in him feeling like an outsider. He's helping his mom clean a rich family's house and tries to jump into a conversation about football. He meant to say the name of a local goalkeeper, a guy named Pele, but it came out Pele. The other kids, the richer kids, they just pounced on it. Pele became their nickname for him, a way to make fun of him, a constant reminder that he wasn't one of them. But of course, Dico just couldn't stay away from the game. He and his friends from the slums, they called themselves the Shoeless Ones, and they enter this youth tournament. To get cleats, they actually steal peanuts to sell for these cheap, awful shoes. In the final, they're getting absolutely crushed, down 6-0, weighed down by these terrible boots. So at halftime, they do something crazy. They take the shoes off. Playing barefoot the way they always did, they were totally transformed. They storm back and tie the game 6-6. And just like that, this moment of pure joy, it just shatters. As they're running from the game, chased by the guys they stole the peanuts from, Dico and his friend Diogo hide in a tunnel. A flash flood hits, causes a mudslide. Dico gets out, but Diogo doesn't. He's buried and killed. Dico is just wrecked with guilt, convinced that his love for football was the reason his friend was dead. He runs to his mother, sobbing, and swears he will never, ever play again. And he actually kept that promise. For a while. But the game, it just kept calling him back. And his journey back to football wasn't just about playing again. It was about rediscovering the very soul of how Brazil plays. Look, to understand Pelé, you have to understand Ginga. It's more than just a style of play. It's a whole philosophy. It comes from the fluid, rhythmic moves of a martial art that enslaved people in Brazil developed for self-defense and cultural resistance. It's all about creativity, joy, being unpredictable. But after that devastating loss in 1950, the football establishment actually blamed Ginga, calling it primitive and undisciplined. So his dad, seeing his son just completely broken, knew he had to bring him back. But he didn't do it with drills. He took him to a mango tree. He taught Dico to practice shooting by kicking hard, unripe mangoes. And to learn balance and control, he had him juggle the soft, ripe ones without breaking the skin. He wasn't just teaching football. He was teaching him the pure joy of Ginga. That joy got him a tryout with the pro club Santos, but as soon as he got there, he hit a wall. The coaches wanted this rigid, tactical, European style. They basically wanted to coach the Ginga right out of him. So what do, right? Do you change who you are to fit in, or do you risk it all to be yourself? He was so overwhelmed, he actually packed his bags and was heading to the train station, ready to quit for good. But then, an older player finds him and tells him the story of Ginga, that it's his heritage, his power. He tells him to stop trying to hide it,
So Deco walks back onto that field, unleashes his Genghis style, and just leaves everyone, coaches included, totally speechless.
And that was the moment. That was the turning point. At just 17 years old, the boy who now fully owned the name Pele gets picked for the national team. He's heading to the 1958 World Cup, and on his shoulders, he's carrying that promise he made to his dad and the hopes of a nation still scarred by that old defeat. But that ghost of 1950 was still hanging around. The national team's coach was terrified of history repeating itself. So he lays down the law. No Genga. None. The team was going to play a disciplined European style. The very thing that made Pelé a star was now forbidden on the world's biggest stage. Brazil manages to get to the semifinal against France, but they're playing like they've got the handbrake on. Then at halftime, all tied up, everything changes because of this one conversation. A teammate turns to Pelé and says, "I spent my life trying to be European, but I'm Brazilian. We need to play like us." And in that moment, they knew. They had to stop holding back. They had to play Ginga. That little chat was all it took. In the second half, Pele just explodes onto the field. He's free. He plays with pure, beautiful Ginga. And the result? Oh man, he scores a hat trick, 3 goals, and Brazil cruises to a huge victory and a spot in the World Cup final. So the final, it's this perfect showdown, right? It's more than just a game, it's a battle of philosophies. You've got the host, Sweden, who are all about disciplined, structured football. Their coach even publicly calls Brazil's style chaotic. Meanwhile, in the Brazilian locker room, their own coach, finally seeing the light, tells his team the exact opposite. He says, "Don't be like them, be you. Show the world what Ginga is." And wow, did they deliver. Brazil wins 5-2. Creative freedom beat rigid structure. And that 17-year-old kid who 8 years earlier had found his father weeping, he collapses on the field crying tears of pure joy. Promise fulfilled, nation healed. That win wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. It was the moment the boy named Deco was gone forever, and the legend of King Pelé was truly born. Just look at this legacy. He'd go on to win 2 more World Cups. And get this, to this day, he is still the only player in the history of the sport to have won 3. Just think about that. His goal-scoring record is just ridiculous. 1,283 professional goals. He was so important to Brazil that the government literally declared him a national treasure, just so a European club couldn't buy him and take him out of the country. But here's my favorite part of this whole story. For all the world records, for all the fame, there was one little record Pelé could never, ever break. His own dad once scored 5 goals in a single game. Pelé, the greatest of all time, never got more than 4. And that just brings it all full circle, doesn't it? A global king who never forgot who he was, or the man who first taught him how to play with mangoes.